All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, the best man I know and the best man he knows. Massive shout out to Lance and all he does for the show. We love him. Love it. Anybody who doesn't, heck with him, man. All right, anyway, so welcome into tonight's show. We've got a big one. We've got a doozy, okay? We've got a doozy tonight. I'm excited to bring it to you. Okay, we're going to talk a little head coaching changes. Well, we're not so much changes yet. We're going to go head coaching vacancies. We're going to roll into this weekend's games. We have the HCS Power 12 as well, but we're going to start off with some of the games that happened over the past weekend, man. Some big games. Vandy just continues to disprove everybody, okay? Now, I get it. They had the game against Alabama a few weeks ago. They went out and they lost that game, but they put up a fight. They were in the game until the fourth quarter. Now, Alabama was heavily dominating the fourth quarter, but it doesn't really matter. Vandy was in the game until the fourth quarter. Alabama scored late. It is what it is. All right, now, moving on, okay? So they put up a fight against LSU. They beat LSU. Not only did they put up a fight, but they beat an LSU team that's pretty dadgum good, all right? So I thought that was interesting. Okay, now this week for Vandy, you've got a little something different. You've got College Game Day going to be live in Nashville again. So they were there last week for LSU. Now they're going to be there again. Sorry. College Game Day was where last week? Josh Pate was there last week. Okay, now it's going to be College Game Day live in Nashville. Okay, this is a massive game. I think this is going to be one of the better games of the weekend. Obviously, College Game Day is going to be there. College Game Day should and will go to the best games of the weekend. So that's just how it is. And this is all predetermined, of course, but it is what it is. You know how to do it. Now, breaking it down real quick, so I glanced down at the iPad. Mizzou, they barely escaped Jordan-Hare Stadium. And what should have been an Auburn win, Auburn, the play calling late in that game, it's not very superb. It happens. Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat. His seat is hotter than ever. His butt hairs are probably chiseled. So I certainly think that Hugh Freeze will probably be gone within the near future. There's sources saying that he's going to be there until the end of the season. I don't know how much truth there is to that, say source per se. So I don't know. You know, my thoughts were, hey, you know what? This weekend they lose to Arkansas, he's going to be gone. Those were my thoughts, and I just spoiled a pick for later. But that's just kind of what I was thinking going into this thing. So it's interesting, man, and there's a lot to break down. There's a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. And we will do it over the next few weeks as well, because these head coaching changes, these head coaching firings are going to continue. So I don't see it changing. I think there's a few jobs that really should be looked at by certain people. Like Lane Kiffin, for instance. Everybody's saying, oh, Florida. Yeah, I think that, just in my opinion, if you're thinking, you know, you want to continue to build that resume for Lane Kiffin, and he could easily stay there at Ole Miss and just have that job on lockdown until, you know, God knows whenever, because it's not like he's going anywhere. He's not going to get fired from Ole Miss, so it's just not possible. But now Florida, you can say that's a different story all you want to, because I certainly think it is. But you also kind of got to see, you got to look at it from a bigger perspective. It's not all about football. Lane Kiffin come out and said, you know, last year that his daughter was one who kind of made him stay in Ole Miss. Not that she, forced him to stay because it's his daughter. What's she going to do? Say she's not going to love him anymore if he takes a job? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that she basically said or convinced him and swayed his opinion to stay at Ole Miss. That was where she belonged. That's where she felt she belongs for the future. So I think that's how it's going to be. I think it's going to stay like that over the next few years. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know the classification that Landry Kiffin. I don't know her certain class right now. I'm not an expert at that, but yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's another job we'll talk about as well. Penn State, that's a big one. That's a mighty big one that's coming open. Who do you hire? Who do you hire if you're Penn State? We'll discuss that. Miami, who got upset last week, I believe it was Friday night. Friday night they played Louisville. So Miami played Louisville at home in Hard Rock, and they lost. They got beat by Louisville. So that was an interesting game as well. A bunch of these games, that game didn't necessarily come down to the wire. Now Carson Beck threw 4 picks in that game, so wasn't necessarily a great performance from him at all. But I mean, you can't expect to go out there and throw 4 picks and win a game. The fact that they were in the game after throwing 4 picks is pretty impressive. But I mean, like I said, it's Louisville. I don't think Louisville's all that great. I think Louisville's a good football team. I think they they have a pretty good head coach in Jeff Brom. I just don't necessarily think that. I'll say this: I don't necessarily think that he is. Or I don't necessarily think that Miami should have lost that game at all. Now they didn't perform up to par at all. But if you're talking about college football playoffs, you're talking about top 4 seed in the college football playoffs. You can't lose to an unranked Louisville on a random Friday night. That's just not how that works. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. So not necessarily something that should have happened, but Miami just got to kind of evaluate themselves as they go forward. Jared Smith says Lane Kiffin's happy. I certainly agree. I think that, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but yeah, like I said, no, Miami should not have lost that game, and they kind of proved why they aren't ready for that 4th seed. It seems like year after year, over the past couple of years or past few years, it's been like, hey, you know what? Miami's finally ready. Miami's finally ready. And then they go and do this. So they continue to do stuff that doesn't necessarily surprise me. It's Miami. It's Mario Cristobal. He's done some stupid things in games over the past few years. So I hate it. I hate it for Miami because I think that Miami has all the potential in the world, all of it in the world, to go out there and win a national championship. They've shown it thus far. But then again, they've also shown you what they can do against an average team like Louisville. So I don't know. It's very difficult for me to understand why that keeps happening. But then again, like I said, it doesn't shock me at all. It's Mario Cristobal, and things like this have happened to him before. So I don't know. I don't put it past him. All right, moving on. We've got to get into some stuff, okay? I want to talk about building a program, okay? Which head coach over the next few weeks is going to decide, or over the next few months is going to decide to take a job in the offseason and maybe risk a little bit, take a little bit of a risk like Lane Kiffin. All right, who's going to build it up? Well, let me tell you who else builds things up, okay? That's Steel 174. That's Daniel Dawson, Bobby Welch, and their crew over at Steel 174. Fantastic construction company. They can get it done for you. They're still strong. They're still reliable. Steel 174. That is still strong, still reliable, Steel 174. All right, now, they get it going, guys. All right, anyway, so moving on now. Let's talk head coaches, all right? We're about 7-8 minutes into this thing. I think now it's – that's a Crimson Tide pin. All right. It's not a Crimson Tide pin. All right, so I'm done with the allegations. All right, I'm done with the allegations that I'm an Alabama fan. I am grossed out. I'm grossed out by it. I will puke in the next bucket I see. That's not how it is. All right. Kind of need some sweet tea. I'm not going to lie. I forgot my water in my vehicle. I forgot my water. Dadgummit. I forgot my water. All right, anyway, we stay hydrated with the Buffalo Wild Wings sweet tea. Massive shout out to Buffalo Wild Wings for having us here at the Chick-fil-A. Nicholas Adams, I love you, brother. I hope you're doing well. All right, now, anyways, diving into it. The iPad has a bunch of information for us tonight, and we're going to dive into it here. Penn State, Florida. You've got UCLA. You've got Stanford. You've got Arkansas, Oklahoma State. These are just a few of the jobs that are open right now, and Stanford. So you've got a few jobs open right now that I think are good jobs, that are decent jobs. The top 3 jobs right now, I'd say personally, you got Penn State, you got Florida State, and then Penn State and Florida. Now you also have Oklahoma State as well, and Arkansas. So Oklahoma State, Arkansas, and then Virginia Tech too. So those are 5 key programs who are going through a coaching change, or will go through a coaching change here in the offseason. They all fired their head coaches. I hate that Sam Pittman's not the head coach for the Razorbacks anymore, because it's just fitting that Sam Pittman is a head coach for a team titled the Razorbacks and called the Hogs. So I love it. That's not fat shaming, by the way. Don't even think that. I'm not fat shaming Sam Pittman, you dirty dogs. Get your head out of the gutter. Penn State, I think they could go several different directions. I know Matt Rule is also out there. So there's different head coaches. There's different coaches now that are coaching somewhere else. For instance, Matt Rule, like I just said, who are candidates for certain positions. Now that's going to be a candidate for Penn State to go out and go get. Nebraska, I don't necessarily know. I think that Matt Rule is pretty. You can say the same with Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, but I don't know. So I just think it's different. I think you have to really digest it and dive into it. Lynn McClendon dives in and says, hello, Miss Lynn. I hope you're doing fantastic. I miss you back in school. Hope you're doing well. I don't necessarily mean, and we've got some beef going on. These guys are going to fight. Jared Smith says Nicholas Adams being a realist doesn't mean he's being a Bama fan. I want to see some fists thrown. All right, Nicholas Adams and Jared Smith. I know these guys are both kidding, but it's just funny to ag them on. I know for certain, and Nick, love you. I know for certain that Lane Kiffin wanted to be at Ole Miss this past year. I know for certain that his mind may have possibly swayed from going to Florida last year, or for instance, in the future moving. His mind may have swayed. I don't know that. I can sit here and say that I do believe that it has swayed. But yeah, I think that another candidate for Florida would probably be John Summerall. John Summerall, who's a head coach at Troy for a few years. Now he's at Tulane. He had a phenomenal career at Troy, by the way. He's at Tulane now. So he's done fantastic there at Tulane. Now he has a chance to go be the head coach at Florida or Arkansas. And I love the fit for John Summerall at Arkansas. I think he would elevate his game at Arkansas. I think it would be phenomenal for him. But you're looking at several different jobs now that potentially could be open in the future as well. So you're talking about Auburn, which is one of those key jobs in the SEC that a lot of head coaches are going to want, and a lot of head coaches are not going to want. So that one's going to fall under a Venn diagram. I feel like some coaches certainly will, and some coaches certainly won't. But that's just really depending on who the coach is. I don't think that Lane Kiffin would be interested in it a few years ago. People were saying maybe Deion Sanders would be interested in it. I think that would be a colossal mistake by Auburn. I don't think that he would fit there, and I don't think Deion Sanders wants to go to Auburn. I think for one, the stakes are entirely too high at Auburn, and I think that the more people see like guys like Hugh Freeze, guys like Brian Harsin take the job at Auburn, for one, look at what happened with Brian Harsin at Auburn. Okay, he started out phenomenally at Auburn, just a phenomenal job in his first year. Well, for his first few games, anyways, he had a solid first year. Okay, you don't talk about it after a little bit. All right, so after the first year, Auburn fans basically stopped talking about it because that was basically it. So it really just comes down to who exactly you want as that head coaching position. We will talk about Auburn in a few weeks. Right now, that's just a moot point. So right now, Oklahoma State, people are talking about Zach Robinson. People are talking about Zach Robinson. He's a coach for the Falcons right now, former player, alumni at Oklahoma State. So I don't know. I can't really tell you much about that Oklahoma State job. I know that with Florida, there's a bunch of different names being thrown out there. I, for one, think that Jed Fish will do a good job at Florida. I think that there are several different names out there. You can take a look at Jeff Brom, who I think is a phenomenal play caller and head coach. So I don't know. I think Jeff Brom's a phenomenal coach right now. If he flourishes as a head coach at Florida, we'll see where he goes. If he does go anywhere, I don't really know. We will see if that even happens. So I don't know. I think that's just something we have to kind of talk about, break down. So I don't know. You can say whatever you want to, but it is what it is. We'll figure it out. So, but yeah, one of my favorite guys that I personally love, Jeff Brom. I think he'll go somewhere. I think he'll go somewhere the season ends. Now, where will he go? I don't know, but we'll see. So, Penn State, Florida, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Arkansas, Stanford, and UCLA. People are talking about Coach Skinner. People are talking about Coach Newhouse over at UCLA. Is Coach Skinner going to take over? Is he going to be the guy that he's an interim now? Is he going to take over as UCLA? Will it be Coach Newhouse who they promote? I don't know. I don't think it'll be Newhouse. I know that he wants to be the head coach at UCLA. Wants to be. I don't know. I don't know how much, if that will ever come to fruition. Right now, anyways, but we'll see. He's an interim offensive coordinator, for God's sake. So we don't really know. We don't know his potential. I think if you're talking experience, if you're talking about a guy who's proven and a guy who wants to go or can go win, you don't go that route. But I think if you want somebody who's young, who's willing to prove themselves, I think you tried to do that with Foster, and that didn't work out. So now I think it's time to go a different direction. But that's just me. That's just if you want to say bull crap because it's coming out of my mouth, that's fine. I actually agree with you. But it is what it is, and we'll figure it out. Like I said. So Jamie Strange, I know you're watching out there. Love you, buddy. So no, man, I think it's different. I think that there's a bunch of different avenues that certain head coaches can go. I think there's a bunch of different avenues that certain teams like Florida, they can go. Obviously, that job search starts at Lane Kiffin, and I don't know if they want to get off that name of Lane Kiffin because right now, in my personal point of view, I think that Lane Kiffin gives that team in Florida the best chance to win. The fans clearly want Lane Kiffin. I think the fans at Auburn want Lane Kiffin. I talked to a guy that I worked with, Alan Perry. Alan, shout out to you if you're watching. But I personally think that, and he kind of mentioned this to me, Jeff Brom. He told me he shouted him out, said he's a great play caller and everything. And I kind of did a little dive, and I'm like, yeah, it would make sense. Okay, Auburn needs a good play caller because right now, here it is. What is it? 7:16, 7:15. They don't have a good play caller here at 7:15. What is it? 22nd, 23rd? I don't know. 23rd, yeah, because it's my cousin's birthday. Shout out Garrett Coker. Happy birthday to you. But, yeah, and we got some people chiming in the live chat. Jared Smith says Dion has too many health issues to go anywhere. I agree. And that's just from listening to reports and all that. Nicholas Adams chimes in, says that was Jared Smith. Excuse me. Then Nicholas Adams chimes in, says Lane's a great coach. Jared Smith says Auburn needs Cardell Williams as their head coach. I don't know, Jared. I don't know. I think that he's a little past. I think that Auburn is past that. I don't think they'll go back to him just from what came out of Auburn a few years ago and why he was fired. We'll stop there. But I think that train has left the station. All right. UCLA, Newhousel, Skinner, somebody else, Stanford. Andrew Luck, maybe? I don't know. Andrew Luck's I think he's a GM right now. Arkansas, that's another one. Like I said, I think John Summerall would be fantastic there. A name that I've mentioned for Arkansas, I don't think too many people have kind of thrown out there. First off, Mike Gundy. I'll say Mike Gundy as I take a glance down at the iPad. Mike Gundy. And why I think Mike Gundy, for one, Arkansas's got to have some sort of revival. Mike Gundy has been there. He's done that. Not at Arkansas, obviously. He took Oklahoma State from nothing and brought them to, well, something, okay? They were a powerhouse in the Big 12, obviously, up until a few years ago because they were terrible last year and this year too. But it's difficult, man. I think it's difficult to say. I would love for Mike Gundy to go to Arkansas and be the head coach. Why? Like I said, he's been there. He's done that. He can do it. He can build that. He can build them up. For one, Fayetteville is only 2.5 hours away from Stillwater as well. So, and apply that you can apply Alabama to Auburn just from time distance as well. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but what I am saying is, for one, look at time distance. Okay, it's not far from each other at all. Arkansas and Oklahoma State, they're not. So whether you want to you went from a Cowboy, go be a Hog. All right, arguably you can say both of them stink, but after a day's of work, anyways. I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen, but I think that it would be a shout. I think that it would be a good way to go if you're Arkansas. I just don't necessarily think that's going to happen. But I would personally love to see it happen. I think that Mike Gundy still has some years left in him as a coach. I think he will go coach somewhere else. Now, where does he go coach? I don't know. We'll see. We will certainly see. All right. Now, Virginia Tech. Shane Beamer? South Carolina fans certainly think so. No, they want it. Shane Beamer, I don't think that Shane Beamer is a good fit for South Carolina. I thought that maybe he could get it done. He cannot get over that 9-3, 8-4 hump. And it's South Carolina. It's an SEC schedule. I get it. I understand. Look at what Virginia Tech has to offer. Okay, Shane Beamer can go recruit. I firmly believe that. I think he could go over to Virginia and recruit just as well as anybody over there. But the problem for Virginia Tech, one, let's go resources. Okay, it's going to be a drop off compared to South Carolina. Okay, South Carolina, they have resources. They have a bunch over there at South Carolina that I think that can transform that program if they get another head coach in. I firmly believe that. Now take a look at Virginia Tech. They have the resources as well. The problem with Virginia Tech is it's not as much of a high-profile key name as South Carolina is. And look at the conferences. You go from ACC to SEC, SEC to ACC. Okay, now let's look at the ACC schedule. Okay, if you're looking at scheduling in the ACC, be going tomorrow. If you're Shane Beamer, the problem is I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it will. I think it could be a good fit. I just don't know if it will happen, as we have a good sponsor up in the house. Daniel Welch, Bobby Welch, and Dawson Welch here with Steel 174 here at Buffalo Wild Wings. We have a sponsor and a sponsor. I don't know how that works. We have a sponsor and a sponsor tonight and his lovely girlfriend as well. So now we've got a phenomenal night here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Daniel Welch and the crew at Steel 174 joining us here. The Hayden Coker Show. Take the hat off. Take the hat off. No false advertising. Free advertising is a no-go. But yeah, no, I think it's strange, man. And we're going to jump into the HCS Power 12 here in a minute. But massive shout out to the guys at Steel 174, still strong, still reliable, and as Daniel Wilt says, still strong, still reliable, still 174. So it's just how it is. Bunch of sexy young men over there. How about it, man? Good-looking men. Now, moving on. The HCS Power 12, we dive into it. Let's dive into it, guys. A massive, massive week for the HCS Power 12. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that it's a massive week for the Power 12. We have breaking news. Obviously, we have a first sighting in the HCS Power 12 is Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt making that jump from not ranked in the HCS Power rankings to number 9 in the HCS Power 12. How about it, Vandy? USF holding that group of 5 spot. You have Notre Dame at number 11, Miami at number 10 after a tough loss. Vandy catapults into number 9. You have Oklahoma at 8. Ole Miss at 7. That's going to be a fantastic matchup this week. I'm really curious to see who comes out on top. I have a prediction for you a little bit later on in the show. Ole Miss at 7, Georgia at 6, Oregon coming up to the number 5 spot, and Georgia's there. I think Georgia's right there. I think Georgia's going to continue to climb over the next few weeks. They've got some big-time matchups coming up as well, especially toward the end of the season. Georgia Tech, that's going to be another matchup that's going to be featured. Georgia Tech, not in the HCS Power 12. I want to see a little more from Georgia Tech right now. And I haven't necessarily seen what I want to see to include them in the HCS Power 12. Oregon at 5, Texas A&M at 4. A&M continues to prove people right. They are legit. I think they are one of those teams that in the SEC is going to be a team to beat toward the end of the year. Okay, I think they catapult into the SEC championship game towards the end of the year. If you look at their schedule, you have to go week by week. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, it's week by week, so we'll see. Indiana at that number 3 position, Fernando Mendoza, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation right now. And I think he's going to continue to stay there. I think that Fernando Mendoza, he shows a lot of poise in the pocket, and he does a lot of great things for that Indiana offense. And Kirk Cignetti has taken that team to a whole other level. Defensively, they're really good as well. So I'm curious to see how exactly Indiana performs over the next few weeks. And we'll see if they continue to stay at that number 3 spot, or if they catapult, or if they fall. Number 2, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Another great win over the past weekend against the Tennessee Volunteers. They won that game. They won it convincingly. But let me just tell you this. I thought that Tennessee was in it despite the score. I thought that Tennessee, they did some good things through the air. Obviously, you have turnovers. We talked about it last week, how we thought that Joey Aguilar may turn it over a few too many times. As I hydrate with the Buffalo Wild Wings sweet tea, and he ended up doing that. He ended up turning the ball over a little bit, a few too many times. Ty Simpson was good through the air, and yeah, that's kind of how we're feeling on Alabama right now. They keep on showing us, as the crew at Steel 174 are big Bama fans. We know Daniel Welch is as well, and Ohio State, man, coming in at number 1, and man, they just continue to prove everybody right about how good of a team they are. Julian Sayin has been fantastic over the last few weeks. I believe it was 2 weeks ago against Minnesota. Just a phenomenal. 2 or 3 weeks ago against Minnesota. Thank you, Miss Andrea Armstrong. By the way, certified power lifter is Andrea Armstrong. Certified. She won a few world championships in Australia. Has won some local championships as well. So shout out to our waitress tonight, Miss Andrea Armstrong. Fantastic she is. But yeah, Ohio State continue to prove people wrong. Offensively, Julian Sayin is, God, man, he's stepping up. He's improving, and he continues to improve week by week. Heisman contender. Caleb Downs defensively, man. God, Arville Reese linebacker. Oh, how about it, man? God, man, I'm really curious to see what this Ohio State team does over the next few weeks, because if they continue to prove they're going to stay at that number 1 position in the HCS Power 12, like I expect them to do, and they'll probably finish there at the end of the year at number 1. I don't see Michigan. Bryce Underwood. Sorry, Nathan Fuller. God, sorry. I don't see them beating Michigan this year, or I don't see them losing to Michigan this year. Excuse me. Now, let's dive back into it. All right, a little more to talk about. That's the HCS Power 12. I'll show it to you one more time here in a little bit. But that's the HCS Power 12 right now. Okay, you can find it every Sunday morning. Now, we had a little delay this Sunday. We had some activity we had to take care of. We had some business to take care of on Sunday. So, we didn't have it out Sunday. We had it out Monday night, and that's just how that had to happen. It's okay. I'm sorry. I know I'm horrible. Or excuse me, Tuesday morning. But you know what? It's all right. we move on, we live. Every Sunday morning you can catch the HCS Power 12 on my Facebook, on my Instagram. Check it out on my Twitter as well. Hayden J. Coker on Twitter, DHCS Media on Instagram, and then Hayden Coker on Facebook. Now, moving on. Thank you to everybody listening and watching tonight. Jared Smith says Indiana is a poser. All right, we have shots fired tonight. Jared Smith says Indiana is a poser. All right, Jared, we hear you. Nick Adams says number 2. How about Vandy, man? I know that you like them. I know you're a big Vanderbilt fan. And for those of you who don't know, Jared Smith and Nicholas Adams are both massive Vanderbilt fans and Tennessee fans. So that's just how it is. And I appreciate them for showing their dual fan duality, if you want to call it that. But no, man, love it for them. Massive Tennessee and Vanderbilt fans, Jared Smith and Nicholas Adams. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to some games this weekend. How about we? As we move on to some games this weekend, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Auburn, Arkansas. Let's see here. You got some more. You got Baylor and Cincy, A&M and LSU as we glance down at the eye. And I'm going to try to get my man Daniel Welch over here. If he can hear, he can't hear me right now. But you know what? Maybe we just let him enjoy his water in peace. All right, he enjoys his water. He looks a little thirsty tonight. Yeah, now he sees me. I'm staring him down. He thinks I'm looking at the camera, but I'm actually looking at him. Let's see how long this. No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking to the camera. He thinks I'm talking about him. He thinks I'm talking to the camera, but I'm talking about him. Daniel Welch, just a phenomenal man, phenomenal, great dude over at Still 174, man. How about we talk about Senator Lance Bell for a moment? Thank you, Senator Lance Bell, for sponsoring our show, our main sponsor. We are actually presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. We are here because of that man right there, Senator Lance Bell. So we do appreciate him and everything that he is for the community of Pell City as well. So, by the way, Matt, if you're listening, I haven't forgotten I have to talk to Senator Lance Bell, and I will do that. All right, now break it down. All right, Houston, Arizona State. Let's break it down. Houston, let's take a look at Houston for a second. All right, you've all heard of Connor Wegman. All right, where's that name come from? It sounds familiar, doesn't it? Well, let me tell you where it came from. Texas A&M. He got hurt last season. Transfers over to Houston, and he's pretty much having a really good year. He's having a pretty decent year over at Houston. Offensively, Houston, the Cougars seem to have found their stride. And no, I'm not talking about in basketball in the Big 12. No, this is football. Okay, Houston is actually decent right now. Okay, so Willie Fritz doing a phenomenal job at Houston. I'm extremely proud of Willie Fritz and all that he has, all that he's done at Houston. I think that he has that program on the right track, and he's got a 5-star quarterback commit coming in next year. If he stays, we'll see how that goes. As I hydrate with the Buffalo Wild Wings sweet tea. Houston, man, I think that Houston is one of those teams. Now, they lost to Texas Tech earlier on in the year. It's their only loss. That's their only loss on the year. That is a team that very well could upset Arizona State in this game. Arizona State, a 2-loss team right now. They upset the Texas Tech Red Raiders last week. And Arizona State goes on to win Arizona State goes on to win that game, and they catapult into the top 25 rankings, not the HCS Power 12. And props to them, man. They went out there and they beat a very good Texas Tech team, and I had a few people say posers last week. And Damian Mitchell chimes in, says A&M is – man, is A&M for real? Man, Damian, I'm actually right behind you on this one. I'm not an A&M fan. I love Coach Elko, and I love all that big man has to offer. I am not a fan of A&M at all. But you know what? They're here. They're for real. And I'm kind of shocked and, like you say, disgusted. But they look good, man. They look good. They look for real. They've got to clean up a few things. But I think overall they're really good. Here's I got to fix my camera. Hold on. We're having some technical difficulties tonight. Anyways, let's continue to go here. Let's continue to go here and talk about Texas A&M and Damian Mitchell. Like I said, I appreciate you chiming in, my brother. I appreciate it. Jumping back into it, okay? I don't necessarily think that A&M is going to win the national championship this year, but right now I think that they certainly look like a top 5 team. They've shown it. I think they continue to prove it. Now, you get a big one against Florida. I know I said Florida, but Florida's a lot better than what their record shows. Now they may go through a little bit of a drop-off now that Billy Napier's fired. Or heck, they may go out there and win their first game since the firing of Billy Napier. So, I don't know. We'll see. stranger things have happened, and that's happened before. So we'll see. Look at UCLA. All right, 3 straight wins since the firing of Coach Foster. So I don't know. It's different. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, like I said, massive shout out to everybody tuning in and the massive Tennessee fans that are Bobby Dawson and Daniel Welch. So massive Tennessee fans over there. We appreciate them for tuning in. And Tennessee is what I heard. Yeah. So no, I don't know, man. Confusing. A&M's good. Confusing, but it is what it is. We move on. UCLA at Indiana. I think that UCLA has a chance in this game, and I understand a 3-4 UCLA team having a chance against the top 5 team. Why are they in the HCS Power 12, Hayden? Well, let me just tell you this. All right, Indiana's good. All right. First off, let's just start there. Indiana's a good team. They're a good team offensively. They're extremely sound, I think, all the way around. UCLA has been on fire. I don't think that they win this game. I think they challenge Indiana up front, or maybe not up front, but I think they challenge Indiana straight out the gate. I think they do. Now, if you want to take a look at, is it going to be Newhousel, the head coach of the future? Let's not talk about that right now. Let's hone in on the game. Newhousel has shown that he can call play. Dude, he's calling plays like his ass is on the line. And I would have never thought that coming into the season. I just wouldn't have tight ends coach. And now he's the interim offensive coordinator. Massive shout out to head coach, interim head coach, Coach Skinner over there. He's doing a phenomenal job. But I don't necessarily think that UCLA is about it like that. I think that Indiana's a little too strong, a little too physical for this UCLA team, and I think that UCLA eventually gets the job done. Baylor at Cincy. All right, we're going away from the SEC right now, so let's hold in on some Big 12 action. Cincinnati is I think Cincinnati's legit, man. I think they're a pretty good ball team. I think that Coach Satterfield coming over from Louisville. People kind of thought that they didn't necessarily understand the hire on Cincinnati's part, but he's come in. He's done a really, really nice job, and I think that quarterback Brendan Sorsby has been phenomenal this year. I think he's been a playmaker for the Cincinnati team. He's shown abilities. He's shown his ability with his legs as well. He can throw the ball extremely accurate as well. So I think that Brendan Sorsby's that guy. I think at Cincinnati, with the way they played this year, they haven't showed me anything that says they're losing this game to Baylor this weekend. I think that Baylor is going to drop their 4th game of the year, so I'll take Cincinnati and I'll take the points. Texas is a 7-point favorite against Mississippi State. Texas going on the road to Mississippi State. Nearly lost last weekend to a Kentucky team who is not very good. Cutter Boley, I know nobody's going to know this name. Cutter Boley, quarterback for Kentucky, outplayed Arch Manning last weekend. Yes, Cutter Boley outplayed Arch Manning last weekend, nearly beat the Texas Longhorns. Texas was on the road in Lexington. This week, they go to Mississippi State. They've got to endure the cowbells, and I think they lose that game. I think that Mississippi State beats the Texas Longhorns, and they'll be horns down going into the weekend or going into next week. And people are going to start to chirp about maybe Arch Manning, the starter, does need to be changed. I'm not going to be saying that. I'm not going to be saying any of that. I'm going to stay away from that conversation. The conversation I am going to be having is what's happening with this Texas team, because it's got to be figured out. But Mississippi State wins this game, and a massive shout out to Fluff Bothwell. I know he's not going to be playing this weekend. I don't believe he's hurt right now. A massive shout out to Fluff Bothwell of Asheville, Alabama, graduated from Anion. So massive shout out to Fluff Bothwell. Now, to take a glance down at the iPad. Here's another one I'd like to predict, and you can hold into this one with me. Auburn and Arkansas. Auburn and Arkansas, I think, one of the better games of the weekend, and I'm not just saying that because it's an SEC game. If you look at this game, you look at the spread, you look at how Arkansas is played, you look at the noise around Auburn right now, it's getting loud. It's getting loud in Jordan Air. It's getting loud down in Auburn, Alabama, and Hugh Freeze may be out of a job after Saturday. Now, like I said, there are rumors of Hugh Freeze possibly staying to the end of the year. Now, that's just all reports, and that's from a source that I'm not going to name. But for part one, I forgot his name. Apologies to it. But I forgot the name of the source, so I'm not going to mention it. But like I said, whether he stays at the end of the year, I don't know. I think, my opinion, if they lose this weekend, he's gone. I think if they lose this weekend in Arkansas, he's certainly gone. And then I think you will see a dip. I think you'll see a dip in recruiting. I think you'll see a dip in, for one, your roster now. I think it'll dip. I think players are going to enter the portal. Deuce Knight probably going to be gone. by the way, the star or the future star of that Auburn team, so say. And so I think he will more than likely be gone. But obviously that's all speculation. That's all we can do right now because we don't know what Auburn's going to do this weekend. Anyways, Arkansas. It's a home game in Fayetteville. All right, Razorback Stadium. Let me hydrate. Man, as I take a trip to the hydration station, it reminds me of how good the people here at Buffalo Wild Wings and Phil City are. Massive shout out to them. Arkansas wins this game, guys. Arkansas wins this game outright. Jared Smith says Auburn wins, but Freeze is done after regulation. I think that he will be gone, Jared, and I'm going to agree with you there, but I think that Arkansas is going to win this game. I think that Arkansas wins. I think that offensively, Arkansas is a little too much. Taylor Green is just a dog. And I know defensively, say whatever you want to about Arkansas. They aren't good. I understand that. I know that. I think anybody with eyes can see that. You put Helen Keller in a stadium at Arkansas, she'd say, hey, the defense is bad. So she wouldn't say it. She'd hand signal, but you get what I'm saying. Now, I just don't think that Auburn has what it takes to win that game. And I understand. I hate it for Auburn. But like I said, I think that Arkansas, offensively too much. They'll give up some points. Arkansas will. But Arkansas will eventually win the game. So I'm going with Taylor Green and the Hogs. Give me the Hogs as Pitino gets his first win as the interim head coach. All right, now moving on. Oh, man. Which one do we go with next? Alabama, South Carolina. All right, South Carolina it's not Cocktober anymore. I don't know what happened. It is Cocktober, but it's not at the same time. South Carolina, they're going to lose this game. I think it'll be a little closer than – I think it'll be a 2-possession game, 3-possession game. I think Alabama wins. Nothing special about this game. I think Alabama may look a little sluggish to begin, but I think that Bama wins. South Carolina's not special. Lenore Sellers and his brother Jaden Sellers at the wide receiver position, Nick Harbor, all those guys, Maceo Bennett. Those guys are decent. I just don't necessarily think that they can keep up with Alabama. I just don't think they can. So give me Alabama, the Crimson Tide, and they'll win this game. I think they win it not easily. Like I said, Alabama will probably come out a little sluggish in my opinion, but I certainly think that Alabama wins this game. So give me the Crimson Tide there. Now moving on, we went over Houston, Arizona State, Mizzou at Vandy though. College game day is going to be there for this one. Missouri at Vanderbilt. College game day is at Vanderbilt for the first time, I believe, since 2008. Vanderbilt, phenomenal. Okay, they've been phenomenal defensively. They've been phenomenal offensively. Diego Pavia continues to prove people wrong. He goes out this past weekend. Obviously, had a rough game against Alabama. Turned the ball over twice in the red zone. Now it's a different ball game. All right, you come back, you gain a little confidence against a good LSU defense that Pavia did, and now he's got a chance to do it again against a solid. I'm going to take that back. Elite defense that Missouri has, and I think that Vandy, they have a lot to prove this weekend. They beat an LSU team that people are kind of saying now maybe subpar. That possibly may drop out of the top 25 this weekend after they lose to Texas A&M. But I think that I think that Vandy is a really good football team, and they have a legit shot to make the college football playoffs. And Vandy makes the college football playoffs? I certainly think so. I just spit everywhere. But it's a possibility. I'm not saying it happens. I know I said I think so. I don't know if it happens quite yet. I want to see more. I want to see more from this Vandy team because we've seen it. We've seen them win a big game. We have. But now let's see more of it. Let's see it continue. Let's not just be sporadic with it. Let's see it continue. And I think they will. So, all right. As we continue, I'm going to make a pick for Vandy. But first, I want to acknowledge the Missouri offense and the Missouri defense. Missouri defensively phenomenal on third down. They get off the field. They are able to get their offense and Bo Prabula back on the field. And I love that from Missouri. They have good quarterback play. They have a phenomenal running back in Ahmad Hardy, who's third right now in the country in rushing yards. Cam Cook, by the way, first, Jacksonville State right now. Phenomenal back. But Ahmad Hardy, third in the nation right now in rushing yards, behind him, and then a running back from UTSA. So, does Missouri win this game? Does Missouri win it? I have some friends that live in. I have somebody I know who lives in Nashville. I have a friend who lives in Nashville, big media reporter, Emmy Award winner, actually. Miss Kylie Walker, I believe that's her last name. Yeah, Emmy Award winner. So, phenomenal. I love Nashville. Not really. I kind of like Nashville. Hate the traffic. The building, the skyline looks kind of nice. But I like Vandy. That's the only thing about Nashville that I like. Vandy and Josh Pate, the only things about Nashville that I like. I'm going Vandy. I'm going to take the Vanderbilt Commodores. I think they win this game against the Missouri Tigers. I think that let's go with Missouri. I think that Missouri, I think they have a little too much to prove for me, and Vandy is going to shut that down. Offensively, I would love to see a little more out of this Missouri team, but gosh dang it, Vanderbilt, man. Vanderbilt. I'm going to go with Vanderbilt, man. Give me the Commodores. Give me the Commodores or the train conductors, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what exactly they're – I know it's a Commodore per se, I guess, but – I guess he looks like a train conductor. I don't know exactly if that's the mascot or not, but I'm going to say train conductor. Give me the train conductor Vanderbilt Commodores to win the game. All right, brought to you by HCS. That's just how it goes. Now, moving on. Vandy wins that game. Continues to climb in the HCS Power 12 for now. They'll jump either Oklahoma or Vandy because those two teams are in front of them right now, and they play this weekend. So we'll see. Now, let's break down our final game of the night. All right, final game of the night, Ole Miss at Oklahoma. This is the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Steel 174, Senator Lance Bell as well. And we are live every single Saturday from Buffalo Wild Wings. Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Let's dive into it. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner, hotty toddy. All right, let's break it down. It's like Lance down at the iPad. We've got a lot to talk about there in this game. All right, so let's look at Oklahoma offensively per se. All right, let's look at the tight end for Oklahoma. Okay, Jerry Cannick. Now, I'm interested to see what exactly Cannick does against this Ole Miss defense. And while I'm saying that, Jerry Cannick, tight end for Oklahoma. If you don't know who he is, but look at what Georgia's tight ends did against Ole Miss. All right. They were explosive. Lawson Lucky had 3 touchdowns. He had a trifecta. That's 3, a hat trick, trifecta, whatever you want to call it. He had it, man. And the tight ends really exploded. Oscar Delp as well. They really exploded against this Ole Miss defense. How can they continue? How can another offense continue to exploit that Ole Miss defense the way that Georgia did? All right, with their tight ends. Jared Pinnock is the perfect guy to do it for Oklahoma. He's a strong and physical tight end. I think he can catch, he can block as well. And I think that he has what it takes to go out there and exploit this defense of Ole Miss. Now let's take a look. Let's flip it on its back, okay? Let's talk about the Ole Miss offense for a second. The Ole Miss offense, I've got a statistic written down here for you. So the Ole Miss offense converts 52% of their first downs. 52% of their first downs. That is otherworldly. Otherworldly. All right, now let's flip it back over. Let's look at Oklahoma's defense. Oklahoma's defense is first in the nation in first down defense. So this is where these two categories, these two statistics, they're going to underline each other this weekend. There's going to be a little gray area this weekend, okay? So I think that maybe a little lower scoring at first, but, man, I'm excited for it. I'm so excited for it. Oklahoma tight end, Jerry Cannick, what's he going to be able to do? All right, Ole Miss's offense, Trinidad Chambliss, I think I trust him more than John Mateer right now. I wouldn't have said that towards the beginning of the year. Who is Trinidad Chambliss? Well, he's come on strong. Okay, so Trinidad Chambliss, he has my trust. And I think this Ole Miss team, they're going to go into Boomer Sooner Nation and Boomer Sooner land and Norman, Oklahoma, and Family Gaylord Memorial Stadium, and they're going to win this game against Ole Miss or against Oklahoma. So give me the Rebels. Give me the Land Sharks this weekend. Give me the Ole Miss Rebels against the Oklahoma team who is not necessarily struggling, but I think they've got to kind of find it again. They've got to find it. They've got to get back into it. And I'm not sliding them at all. I think that Oklahoma's still a phenomenal team. But Ole Miss is a playoff team, man. I think that Oklahoma is a playoff team too. They could be anyways. And I think they got to go out there and prove it. Oklahoma still a little bit more rough of a schedule going toward the end of the season. Take a look at Ole Miss after this game. Not too much left on that schedule. Not too much meat left on it. So give me Ole Miss, and I think it kind of gives. I think it shoots Oklahoma down into a little rabbit hole that they've got to go down to figure themselves out toward the end of the year. But give me Ole Miss. I think that the Rebels, they win this game. I think they continue to climb. Well, continue. I think they climb in that HCS Power 12, and I think they get it done, man. I've got the Ole Miss Rebels. I think that Lane Kiffin, one of the best offensive minds. Heck with that, dude. I'm sorry. He's the best offensive mind in college football. Keep everybody else. I'm taking Lane Kiffin over anybody any day of the week. The best offensive mind in college football, Lane Kiffin. Give me him and the Ole Miss Rebels to beat the Oklahoma Sooners this weekend. Mateer, I know, I understand. Play like phenomenal true freshman running back. I get it. The wide receiver room from Oklahoma, Satanga, Burks as well. Those guys are phenomenal, and I understand. I get it. I perfectly get it. But this Ole Miss team is a little bit different. All right, they're very creative with how they run their offense. They can be sporadic at times with their ball movement, and I like them to win this game. I think they win this game, and I think there's a possibility that they win out and go to the playoffs. So give me the Ole Miss Rebels, and that's just that. We will leave it at that. We'll go Ole Miss Rebels, leave it at that. I appreciate you guys for watching. But first, before we go, as I visit the hydration station, hey, Bobby, come here for a second. Daniel, you got time to come here for a second? Dawson, come here for a second. Leave the girl by herself at the table. I want to give a massive shout out to these guys because I do appreciate them, and I understand. You can come too. Come here. No, you can come home. I want to give a massive shout out to these guys over here, and I'm gonna take a second to move over. I want to take a second, and I want to shout out these guys. All right, now come on. Now we've got plenty of room over here. This right here. We've got Daniel Welch. All right, he's Hayden Coker for the day. I have Dawson Welch, and then we have Bobby's cute self over there in the corner. I want to give a massive shout out to these guys for one, because personally they do a lot for me, and for one, they sponsor the show. I appreciate all they do for me, all they do for the community of Steele, all they do for their surrounding areas as well. So Daniel, Dawson, Bobby, Steele 174. I appreciate it. This is still strong. This is still reliable, and that right there, he's still 174. So, guys, I appreciate it, and I hope y'all have a phenomenal night.
Guys, there's nothing on here. He's just
It's all off the cup.
Don't expose me. Don't
Nothing but raw
expose me.
talent right here. At the
Exactly.
Hayden Coker Show.
Raw, he
Love you,
said.
brother.
Love you, brother. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Daniel, you are just absolutely handsome. I appreciate that. Absolutely. And what's your girlfriend's name? We'll shout her out, too.
Catherine.
Catherine. Shout out to Miss Catherine as well. All right. What do you do? Get out of the spotlight, dude.
I'm just trying to look at what you do.
Get out of here,
I
man.
can't hear what you're saying from
No,
up there.
yeah, you didn't hear me, and I was talking crap about you, dude.
I can't really hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I was talking mad crap, dude. No, but seriously, appreciate y'all a lot. Daniel Welch, Dawson Welch, Bobby Welch was still 174, and their lovely co-partner in Miss Catherine as well. So, yeah, that's just it. That's how it goes, guys. I appreciate you for joining tonight. This has been the Hayden Coker Show, presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, the best man I know, the best man he knows. I appreciate everybody for joining in tonight. This is the Hayden Coker Show. We will see you guys later next week, of course. And be good. Just please, please, please promise me this. Don't get in too much trouble and be good. I'll see you guys later. Y'all have a good one. Take care. God bless. And have a phenomenal weekend of college football.